So yes, we've got some real treats in store for you today. Lots of festive chat, a few surprises, Christmas messages. But we want to start with the man who is getting the award for the best waistcoat on this show this entire year, Nick Jones. Welcome. Thank you. I'm glad you've dressed to impress. I'm starting to feel like it was just me today.
Thank you. I'm glad some of us made an effort.
Exactly.
Anyway,
You've got to, haven't you? And you've done a good job dressing the tree as well. Nice to see.
Not too bad, is it? Yeah.
This is the time of year, you know, where this show, we sit back and you reflect, don't you, on what the year's been like, and you start to think about planning, you know, what 2023 has in store. I guess from a 2022 point of view, though, from your perspective, it's been a real roller coaster, hasn't it?
Roller coaster is the word, probably. Yeah, absolutely. So there's been some real highs, sort of economically, not that many highs, but personally and as a practice, we've done some amazing things this year. We've got lots of younger advisors coming through, and seeing them develop is brilliant, and we've got more joining the academy shortly. And the way that the different generations of advisors are working together, and us older guys, if I call myself one of those, we're learning from the young guns as well. So it's quite rewarding all round.
Because you've grown quite a lot this year, haven't you, as a practice?
Yeah, so we merged last year. We went from 5 advisors to 16 advisors now, and have the Enderby office and the Shrewsbury office working almost at full capacity, with clients all over the UK, and mostly feeding into one or the other of the offices. And the advisors, some of them come in the office each day, and some work from home, and it's that blend. But same as support staff. So the hybrid thing is kind of bedded in now. It's gone from the office has got to be closed. Everyone's working from home. To actually, what does your role dictate? What can you do from home? Are you more efficient? Have you got a long commute that you'd rather avoid? Can you still see clients and do that online? I was talking today by email to a client who's in Kent, and our next meeting is going to be on a team or Zooms in January, rather than jumping in the car and going to a meeting or meeting halfway.
And has it naturally evolved that way? It's not that you've sort of consciously said, right, this is the way we've got to do it now.
Yeah, I think what's nice now, people have a choice, and advisors have a choice, and businesses have a choice as to how their support staff and the advisors conduct themselves. If you've got a favourite style of delivery or relationship, face-to-face is always our favourite traditional way. But now we can use technology for the right clients, and maybe supplement. So a couple of times a year, maybe online, and then at least once a year face-to-face for a more detailed review.
Do you think for some clients then maybe having that flexibility as well is better for them, rather than having to take time out of their day to come and visit you, or maybe you visit them, they can just jump online? Or
Yeah, I think the choice is key. So, and sometimes they would like other members of the family to be involved in part of the conversations. If you're talking about our older clients, then they're introducing us to their younger clients who will be clients of the future, and making sure that everyone's aware of what plans are in place and how that affects everybody. So be able to do that online now. We can have people dialing in from different parts of the country or the world, and then being in the same room virtually. So that's a fascinating development.
yeah,
Is it? I mean, not wanting to stereotype, but is it split that maybe the older the client, the more they want still the face-to-face contact? Is it?
That would be a stereotype, but some of our older clients were the ones that adopted the technology sooner, because that was how they used to keep in touch with grandchildren anyway. So they haven't had to learn to do Zoom or WhatsApp chats and these sort of things. They've been doing them anyway. Some of our younger clients, who you might presuppose are better at technology, have struggled a bit, and straight back to face-to-face when they can.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, talking of face-to-face, one of the things that it was great to do earlier this year was get back to the Shropshire Business Live events that we've collaborated on before. And we were up at Weston Park, weren't we? And it was, I don't know what you thought, but I felt there was a real excitement, energy back in the room there. People were really glad to be able to get back networking again, aren't they?
It's amazing to think that was only September. Feels like years ago.
doesn't it? Yeah.
But actually, a lot of people, that was their first time back out in the wild again, wasn't it, really? They'd been working from home, been kept away from everybody else, and whilst things were kept under control. And then that first one, saw some people quite nervous, and we were kind of joking, saying, if you want to shake hands, that's great. If you want to hug, that's great. If you just want to kind of wave from across the room, that's fine too, because everyone was at different levels of comfort. And that's not that long ago, and it's easy to forget that, isn't it? Well, 3 months ago, really.
I mean, but in all seriousness, I was reading a survey that came out at the weekend about cinema going in the UK at the moment, and 1 in 5 people now don't want to go to the cinema because they're not comfortable sitting next to a stranger anymore. That sort of attitude would never have happened before the COVID.
No,
lockdown,
no.
would it?
And people who are naturally nervous or are a little bit less inclined to just throw themselves back into life, and it's not a judgment, that's just how way some people are, isn't it? And that's where it comes to knowing that your audience, knowing your clients, knowing what people like. We've had a few client events since, and we've supported something at Chatsworth last week, which was lovely for clients in that area. And they get to do a tour of the house. There are lots of trees that are probably a little bit larger than this, but it's a quite an impressive thing and lovely to do at Christmas. But not everybody's up for that just yet, and that's absolutely fine. I mean, we're not forcing people to come along, come and have a nice dinner and a talk about what's going on in the markets and with their investments. But if you just want to do that as a one-to-one, or you want to do that rather on a phone call or a Zoom, that's fine too.
We always ask people at this time of year, don't we, to say, well, look back at the year then, what's been your highlight? I'm guessing I know what yours is. It was a couple of months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, a couple of months ago. Well, we got back middle of November, so yeah, the trip to Nepal, the Build and Trek Challenge was absolutely fantastic, amazing, lifelong memories. So
tell people about the whole build-up to what it was about and why you did it. So.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, I saw that there was a challenge going on, and it was to work with this. The Nepal Youth Foundation. It was supporting Nepal's children. These guys get together and they work out an area that would benefit from having a school or a vocational centre built. And this particular project was a vocational centre. It was in Kathmandu Valley, about 20 minutes drive from the airport. Kathmandu itself is crazy. I was lucky enough to be accepted onto the team of 15, 16 of us from across the UK. We had to raise the money in advance because they were getting on with the build before we got there. When we got there, we had a week to do the building part, or to contribute some days towards the building part. They're still there building now. We didn't finish it all in a week. But it's due to be finished in March, I believe, with children in there not long after, people who've graduated from school next door, then to be learning how to be plumbers, electricians, tailors and this sort of thing. So they learn the skills, set off with their toolbox back to the village and set up a business, and then teach other people to do the same thing. So sustainable and really creating something for the Nepali youth to look forward to in the future. Because without that kind of thing, things are quite bleak, it's got to be said. Most of the young do move to Dubai or somewhere, or Qatar or somewhere, and get involved in building projects, don't get a great deal of money, don't get looked after, but they feel they have to move away to earn some money for their family. The second week, we did some trekking around the Himalayas, so that was absolutely amazing as well. So 2 very different weeks.
Some of the pictures that I mean, anybody who hasn't seen, if you saw our show last month, we showed a part of the video footage from that as well. I mean, it looks stunning. Do you learn a lot about yourself as well, though, when you go on a trip like that?
Yeah, I've got some grey hairs, you've probably noticed. I know I've been around a little bit, and you think you know yourself by the time you're 50, don't you? But I still learn some things, and so, mostly positive, obviously. I've definitely learned what I do like and more so about what I don't like. Proper toilets are an absolute luxury. I didn't appreciate that. Having a shower every day as I do, that's fantastic. You get used to that. If you can't do that and you're working on a building site for 4 or 5 days, the shower at the end of that 4 or 5 days is the best you'll ever have, I can promise you. But things like that, and working as part of a team, the challenge in advance of raising the money in the first place, which is a fantastic amount, but also then physically being there and keeping fit enough to do it. So I've worked for over 2.5 years now with Endorf Fitness in Shrewsbury, Connor and Lucy and the gang. I was in this morning, 6:45 session, -9 on the car, it was telling me. Chilly. So I took a little photo of that, and then I took a picture of us all in our Christmas gear, because it was a Christmas one today. And it's just great to get there and get running around and get active. And that's something, obviously, I'm back from Nepal now, so I don't need to keep that fit. But I'm carrying that on for at least 3 or 4 times a week, because it's so much better for your mental health to get up, get energy, get oxygen pumping through your system, and then get on with your day. That's been a life changer for me.
What about the other thing that people talk about at this Christmas time? You hear stories of Christmas lunch. They eat their Christmas lunch, and then they start sorting out booking holidays or planning for the future or getting their finances in order. Or do you actually, in all seriousness, do you get people that sort of say at this time of year, Nick, I'm thinking about things I haven't been thinking about all year?
Yeah, sometimes in advance. Sometimes there's an email exchange, and it's between Christmas and New Year. People have got some downtime that they don't normally allow themselves. And we were talking earlier about the number of people that submit their tax returns on Christmas Day.
Christmas Day, apparently, it's really popular.
I mean, it's one of those jobs that you put off until you've got nothing else to do. And I suppose there's not much else to do apart from book holidays and browse houses or something on Christmas Day itself. But everyone has their own routines and things. I won't be doing any of that on Christmas Christmas Day.
Bit of a dangerous thing to do. You've had a bit too much brandy sauce and all that, isn't it? Your tax return. So.
Hopefully you do it before, yeah. I'd imagine, but it's great, and it is a time to plan. It's a time to plan ahead. It's a new year starting. Everything starts from zero. We restarting the clocks. So as a practice, we've been running a best year yet practice. Best year yet. Really, it's been a programme for all advisors to think about not just the new business levels, but think about their own mental health, think about fitness, think about what they get involved with, and think about their roles in their life. You know, as a father, as a husband, as a volunteer in the community, whatever it might be, and then thinking about that for the next 90 days. And we've had them every 3 months, so it's been looking back. What was I going to do? Actually, yes, I was going to do this, and this is what I've achieved. And when you do that every 90 days, it's amazing what you can actually get done. If you just think now, okay, but by this time next year, I want to have done this, that, and the other. If you don't track it along the way, you'll get to this time next year and you'll say, oh, I did that or I didn't do that, and it's too late to do anything about it because the year's gone.
That's the danger. I mean, a lot of people, they'll say they make a New Year's resolution, don't they? And it's just, it's not a structured way of doing it at all, is it? So.
No, you've got to do it as a habit, whether it's getting fit, whether it's eating healthier, whether it's being more diligent at work, whether it's getting involved in charities, whatever it is. Make it become a habit, and it won't feel like something you've got to think about. The more spontaneous it can be, or the more it's just ingrained, the better and the easier it is. And some of I think 6 out of our 10 in the Best Year Yet programme have had a fantastic year on all sorts of measures, just because they stuck to it and they were measuring along the way. And if you can have your best year, that's brilliant. And it's not just about new numbers; it's about the rounded person that you are, because we're not just workers. We've got so many roles in our life.
I think that's one of the things that people have increasingly taken on board over the last couple of years, isn't it? That let's get the right balance in our lives, and it's more. It's not just about chasing salaries. Of course, you've got to pay your energy bills and what have you, but it's about having the balance that suits you. Isn't it?
Yeah, and then doing that continually and sticking to a plan, you're then able to make other choices at an earlier age. So if you've got enough at a time and you know how much enough is, working with a good advisor, hopefully, then if you're 55, 57, 58, whatever, or 67, as long as the number is right for you and you've got other things you want to do with your time, you've got a choice to make. If you don't know your numbers, you'll just blindly fumble along. You'll follow the state pension age of 67 as it's going to be, 70 by most of our younger viewers, 70 plus. Is that right for everybody? Probably not. I'd rather have a choice. I'd rather make my own way, and along the way, state pension will be a bonus. That's how it should be.
So the key thing as well is, I guess, start early, isn't it? Start thinking about these things early as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What do you think some of the biggest challenges are going to be next year then?
I think people generally, there's a lot of doom and gloom around, and it's absolutely understandable. Every time you pick up a paper, we've talked about the media in the past.
We talked about it last month, didn't we?
Yeah, and it's not, that's not going away. And there's been some really high interest rates rises in the last few weeks. We've had all kinds of inflation figures have come through. There was quite a dip the other day that didn't really get reported, but it's still, there was a headline saying, oh yes, it's actually reduced a little bit, but it's still awful, and it's still going to be fun. It's still going to be for a long time.
That's why.
Yeah, so it's easy to become really upset about the whole thing and really negative and think, well, why bother? Why, it's all horrendous. Anything you invest in is going to go down. Well, everything will go down at some point, but also it'll come up. And if you're investing for the medium long term, this is actually a great time. So any money you've been paying into a pension over the last 12 months is actually going to make much more money for you in the future, because you've been buying more units every month. But a lot of people don't think like that. They think, oh, my valuation's down, pensions are rubbish. Why did we do that? Let's stop saving. Absolutely the wrong thing to do.
Well, I guess literally as we speak, the Bank of England are about to make a decision on interest rates, aren't they? We're expecting that to go up half, 3/4, whatever percent as well. And that shows you should be actually getting more bang for your buck from a saving point of view, shouldn't you?
You should do, yeah. Bank accounts are following that slowly. So the Bank of England rate is one thing, banks passing that gain on is another, and takes a little while, a lot longer than it takes for the mortgage rate to go up. But what you tend to find is that the expectation now is that the rises and the interest rates aren't going to be as high as they were first feared. So we're thinking about 6% rates at some point. Now we're talking maybe 4.5, 4.25 maybe, and everything else kind of links to that. So if that is the way that things pan out, then a bit more confidence will return and valuations will return, and then people will be more confident spending money, taking on mortgages. Mortgage lenders will be happier to lend money. You won't be having to fix at a 6% rate. You might be able to fix at 4% or something. we've got the situation where we're so comfortable at the moment with low interest rates. It feels normal. Lots of people who've recently got mortgages or are aspiring to get mortgages are used to hearing about a 1.9 fixed rate for 5 years. That's unheard of in our lifetimes, but actually it's only relatively recent.
I remember when
Now it
we
feels
bought
normal.
our first house, it was the day that Nigel Lawson put interest rates up to goodness knows what was it, about 12% or something like that, 14%. So, but then there's a whole generation that have never known it anything other than what it's been until about 6 months ago, isn't it?
So this sudden rise now because of circumstances, it really is scary, and we understand it's scary, and every advisor knows, that why people are acting like they are. But absolutely, the story, the message is, don't take on debt that you can't afford. Build in some sort of tolerance mentally. Okay, well, if it goes to this rate, then can we afford it or not? What else can we give up? And actually carry on saving. Keep saving into a pension or into something longer term, because these are the years now with the compounding up of the interest. You're going to be really happy in the future that you were putting money in now. Doesn't feel like it at the moment, but trust me, that's the benefit of experience and being old, that you do benefit longer term from a little bit of pain now.
We prefer benefit of experience rather than benefit of being old,
Yeah.
I think, definitely. Nick, great to see you. Have a great Christmas. We look forward to catching up with you again in January.
Brilliant. Good to see you.